Hi, everybody. This is Kim.
And Jen.
And we're the owners of the Fleece and Harmony Woolen Mill in Belfast, PEI. And this is our knitting podcast.
Yay, where we talk about knitting.
Yes.
And
what episode are we on?
And we don't know what else.
Yeah.
Episode 57.
Episode 57.
Yeah.
And you'll be watching this on October 16th. And I think we got another chock full episode.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Good.
But all about knitting.
Yeah.
Simple and difficult, and then really simple.
Right. And I have a fat lip, but more on that later.
Yes. Maybe that's the story this week.
I don't know. It is very awkward.
Yes. Okay. So if you're watching this the day that we release it, it's October 16th. So 2020. And, 2020 is almost finally over. It's been
It's just been a delight.
Yeah. And so if you're new to us, we ramble on about a lot of different things. We have a sheep farm and we have a woolen mill where we process the wool from PEI and our own flock into yarn. And we also carry ROWAN yarns and a lot of other things, Jagu needles and Cocoa Knits knitting notions. And we have a little shop, obviously, on our farm. So, we're going to get right to our farm update because that's what we usually do first. And it's not really about animals this time. It's actually about getting ready for winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today it is probably 17 degrees out.
But we're still in our woolens.
But we're still in our woolens because that's just the season it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But we're not really complaining about having a 17-degree day, but it is a bit unusual on the 16th of October.
I can't keep up. I don't know. It was freezing a couple.
Right.
The hard frost. Was that yesterday?
Yes. Hard frost yesterday or the day before yesterday. And blustery kind of, like I said before, cuckoo weather. Raining a lot. Like
a lot of rain.
40 millimeters. And the sheep just don't know what to do.
Yeah, and we just had our Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. So we were closed for a couple days.
Yeah.
And we all had turkey.
Yeah. Yes.
And I went to visit family in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Picked up a cold because there were children there.
It's great. Because then school started.
Yes, every child in the maritime bubble has a cold right now.
Yeah.
And I was with, 6 or 7 of them. So that was good.
Right. I had no kids. I had old people.
So, no cold.
Mom and Dad, I'm sorry to call them old, but Mom and Dad were visiting. So Ken and I were hosting them for the weekend. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
We didn't get sick, so that's good.
Until after you sat next to me here for an hour and a half.
Hopefully not. Yeah. Where's my mask?
Right. I'm supposed to wear it, not you.
Yeah. Okay.
It'd be hard for me to talk.
Is that for colds?
Yeah, for everything.
Okay. So the big news this week is that we got our wood. So we live in a 160-year-old farmhouse. That's a wooden house, which is very drafty.
I think it's more like 170 now.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess I've been saying 160 and we've been here almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So, typical old 1860s house that hasn't really been renovated much.
No insulation.
Lots of some days on really windy days I can see my bedroom curtains move.
Yeah.
And the windows closed.
Yeah, and it also goes straight up the attic stairs, like drawing like a fireplace chimney, and the heat goes right up through the attic.
Yeah.
No insulation in the attic.
Yeah. Although Ken did discover that the windows in the attic, 2 of them were open.
Helpful.
Yeah.
Are they closed now?
Now they're closed.
Okay.
So that should be good. But we don't know how long they've been open. It might have been since last summer before last.
We did use a lot of wood last winter.
Yes. So that was the discovery that he made, and he made sure. And we had all new windows made for up there. Yeah. So it's ridiculous. They weren't all in. There was 2 that were not in.
Huh.
So, because usually in the attic we have screens in the summer to let the heat out, and then we have the windows in the winter to keep the heat in. But you have to remember to put all the windows in.
Well, that might help.
Yeah.
But we did get extra. We got 14 cords.
Yeah.
We normally get 12.
Right. And in case somebody doesn't know how much wood, a Woodchuck Chuck, how much wood is in a cord, it is A stack of wood, it's supposed to be organized, like tight, that is 4 feet high, 4 feet wide, and 8 feet long. So it's 128 cubic feet of wood. And that's quite a lot. And we have 14 of those.
And we'll probably still run out by April.
Yeah, because we have a wood burning furnace, which I didn't actually know that a wood burning furnace existed until I started looking at old farmhouses when we bought this place. But they're wonderful. The heat it's just like having how warm and cozy heat is from a fireplace or a wood stove. It's the same, but in the whole. It's a big. I don't know how big is the firebox on the.
It's an extra big one. I think it'll take a 24-inch log.
Yeah, so it looks like a big square, like a furnace, but it has a big door on the front, and you just load it full of wood, and it lasts.
And it's a very nice heat.
Yeah, very nice.
And if the oil furnace kicks in because we've run out of wood or something, it belches this awful oil smell, and you don't realize.
Yeah,
they stink.
Yeah.
Because when you get used to it, it runs all the time. You don't realize you get an oil smell from an oil furnace. So we much prefer the wood.
I don't know why it feels different, but it feels different.
Definitely does. It's a much more warm.
I got to the point when we were looking at houses that the minute we walked into the old farmhouses that we were looking at, I knew if they heat it with oil or wood.
Yeah. It might partly be the smell too.
Well, no, it's the feel. You get to feel it. We don't like using the oil. So we never, if we can avoid using oil, we at any cost, that's what we do. We hardly ever turn the oil furnace on.
And we have our own wood lot. So it is a renewable resource.
Yes. Don't write.
Stop telling people not to write. They never write. She acts like we have all these trolls and hecklers. We have none. No. The only complaint we ever got was I wasn't expecting to hear about poop on a knitting podcast. Yeah. Fair enough. Our knitting podcast might not be for you. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll tell you when not to write. Yeah. Just kidding.
All right. Okay. So should we get to knitting?
Sure.
Or is there anything else to say? The animals are all fine. So if you're wondering why we're not talking about the animals, nothing really happened. They're still growing and they're all
just the best little robust bunch of fat-bellied lambs out there.
Yeah.
Again, we ask, why do you lamb in the spring? We have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea at all.
It won't be us anymore.
No. They're just so, I'll have to try to take some video tomorrow to add in because people will want to see, but they look like little squishy.
Yeah. Plushies.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Yeah, they're growing really fast.
Yeah.
So we should say what we're wearing.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure if it's been a while since I wore this because it's so heavy. So this is Carbeth Swan Dance.
Yeah.
And it's knit in our Aran weight yarn in Periwinkle. And it's stranded with a Kidsilk combo, but it's actually Debbie Bliss variegated because I had that in my stash. So it's a kind of a purpley and turquoise, which seems like kind of an odd color, but it is. So I'm been knitting with this stranded thing for a while. I love it. Yeah. It's really warm.
And I'm wearing a Stephanie Japel design that's no longer available unless you happen to get her book.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to Stephanie.
Yeah.
She was back for a minute and then she all but disappeared.
Yeah. So she still has classes on Craftsy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. About fitting and stuff. Yeah. Some good ones.
I really like some of her patterns. And this is called the ballet top or the ballerina top.
I don't know.
One of the two.
Yeah.
And it's the one we were talking about before where it's top down in the round, but you knit the sleeve flat. So I actually have a sleeve seam here. So I put this on because somebody had asked. You can see, obviously, it's not a set-in sleeve, but it still has a seam going down here, which I didn't do a bad job on because you actually probably can't.
It was one of the first sweaters you made, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's got these lovely broad cables, and it actually has a really cute little flare at the back.
Yeah.
A little, what do you call that? Like a little peplum kind of thing. Yeah. So it's a really cute pattern.
Yeah.
And at one point, Stephanie had knitted in our yarn, but then she retired. Yeah. Anyway, I do like it.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's really cute. Every time you wear it, I find it
I think the book is called Fitted Knits.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good book if you see it at the secondhand bookstore.
Yeah, we found it at a secondhand bookstore and felt like we found a long lost treasure. It was
the
really
patterns
good.
in it are really nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So hi, Stephanie, if you're watching. I'm sure you're not. All right, so that's what we're wearing. Oh, and this is our Aran weight in Vineyard.
Yeah. It's all about Aran today.
Yeah. Strange.
Yeah.
So you are ready for whips and rips then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let her
So
rip
we don't have
and whip.
any RFOs
No?
this time. We didn't have to do
so.
anything.
Nope.
So I'm going to do... Should we talk about our Happy Mail that we got before we get to
got
that?
Happy Mail because we're going to be, aren't we?
Yeah.
we're like major fangirls now.
Yeah, exactly.
So cute.
Since our event, we got our little...
Well,
Arna
Kim
and
actually
Carla's-
bought these for us as a gift.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Love a surprise and a mug.
yes.
I can barely talk. I feel like I'm...
Yeah.
It's weird. Okay.
So I really have to say that I haven't done much on my Paisley since the last time we met, but I will show it. I don't even think you'll be able to tell that I did anything because I'm obsessed with my Huxley, which I'm going to show next. So I'm not really going to talk about it. It's here. I'm still working on it. And right now what I'm doing is I'm knitting like 3 or 4 rows a day to just keep going because I don't want to stop knitting it. But I am doing that so that I can get right to the Huxley.
Yeah, it matches this perfectly.
That seems to be a color that I like. Mm-hmm. So I am knitting.
Bye,
Huxley.
Sidsel.
No. I'm gonna finish it for sure. But this is just this is occupying my mind right now, and I need to do something that I can get done fast because just for my own thing. So I did the first sleeve as my swatch. So that was done, I think, in the last episode. So then I read this. So this is pieced and done from the bottom up, this whole sweater. And I was ready to start the body, and I read the pattern, and the instructions for the body are like this much, 6 lines probably, a couple of lines of instructions for the back, and then the front says do as exactly as you did for the back until you get to a certain place, which is where you start the armhole shaping. So I enjoy knitting in the flat and doing the seaming, but I don't necessarily enjoy doing 2 big pieces and repeating exactly the same thing. So I decided I would do the front and the back together on the needles. However, there's a couple tips that I'm going to share.
I could have done that with my darkness. No, that would have been completely confusing.
Yeah, so there's a couple tricks about how not to get confused. So
I can hardly wait to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, and for people that haven't seen this, the color is, this is a pattern, it's Huxley. It's in the ROWAN Magazine number 66, which was last winter's magazine. But we have it because we brought it in because it has lots of really nice classic patterns. The sweater is completely simple. It's a crew neck for men, and it has sewn in raglan shaped sleeves. And it's, well, not really raglan. They kind of have a bit of a shaping a little bit different. And it's perfectly simple stockinette all the way. But this fabric that the Kidsilk Haze with the felted tweed makes is really, it's really fun to knit. It's just thick enough that it goes fast, but yet it's still quite a thin sweater, like not too bulky. And I have the front and the back. So I have no idea which one is going to become the front and the back because they're both, that is the instructions. They're both exactly the same. And the only trick with this is that you have to remember where you are. So you don't start knitting one side back and forth, which is what happened to me in the ribbing. So there's 8 rows of ribbing, and I looked all of a sudden, I was watching TV, and I looked down, and I thought that I was like on row 8 on both sides, but I was actually on row 8 on one side and row 3 on the other.
I couldn't.
Okay,
so I'd be hopeless.
So that's one thing when you've got 8 rows done. It's something else when you've got 100 rows that you have to make sure you're on the same row. So it's really simple, and I'm using my Chiago needles on a cable and knitting flat. Is I just put a stitch marker in the middle between the two, not because I needed to remind myself not to join them together, but because I know that I have to knit past the stitch marker.
But how would you miss that anyway? There's still more stuff left. How would you turn around?
Well, because then you've got it all on this side. So by the time you knit, so right now...
Oh, and then you pick it up and you start going the other way?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you just turn it because you don't look to see if you went through... If you don't have the marker, it becomes very confusing. If you have the marker, it's very easy. That fixes it.
Could you also put like one at either end and be like pink is the beginning marker and green is the end marker?
Yeah, you could. But I just find that this is... I always have to knit past the marker. And if you stop in the middle and put down your knitting, your marker falls off. So if you don't have a marker anymore, you know that you haven't knit the other side.
Maybe it's because I have a cold right now, but
anyway, that's the fix. You just have to have something in the middle, and you just always have to knit past it. That's it.
And this is the front and the back.
The front and the back. Okay. So when I get this finished, I'll have the front and the back in one sleeve and just have to do the other sleeve.
Okay.
And I didn't do the 2 sleeves because that's what most people do the 2 sleeves.
That totally makes sense to me for sure. That should be more manageable.
Because there's less stitches?
Yeah.
But then you also have the shaping and everything. So anyway, the reason why I didn't do that is because I did a swatch and I washed and blocked it and my gauge was slightly off. So I did start at my sleeve as my second swatch. And then I washed it and blocked it and made sure I had gauge and before I started the body. So I didn't want to do that on 2 sleeves in case my gauge wasn't right. It seemed easier, less painful to rip out 1 sleeve if you had to.
Okay.
So that's it. So I'm making a lot of good progress with that. And, oh, shoot. Okay, just knocked.
Until now. Ken's going to be thrilled that it's going so quickly.
Yeah, so this is for my husband, Ken.
He's going to have a sweater in no time.
Yeah, he keeps feeling it. Every time we're on the couch together watching TV, he's saying, how's my sweater coming along? It's coming fast. And I thought I would be really bored. But I'm not. It's because it moves along fast enough that you can see progress. So it's very encouraging.
Right.
Yeah.
I can handle board. It doesn't bother me. I just did a huge amount of stockinette, so just wait.
So it's fine. All right. So that's my whip.
Okay.
I'm going to see if I can't get it done for the next episode. For sure. I think I might be able to.
I said that about mine last time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm doing the darkness and I got a lot done. I have to say. So last time I had, what is this? This is not what I wanted. This is the back. It was completely finished.
Yeah.
Then
This is Brushed Fleece for those that are wondering.
Headland. And it's the darkness pattern by Kim Hargreaves. This is the left front with, you can see the hood.
That's the hood?
Yeah.
Is the hood seamed up the back?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I hope so, or I've done something terribly wrong. I believe we Kitchener stitch it together here at the top and then, join it all sewn. And I really don't know what happens here, but I'm not worrying about it right now.
Cool.
It's created like a little Pac-Man.
Right.
So the instructions for this were complete. And then the instructions for the right front were do the same as the left, but reverse the shaping.
Right.
In your mind.
Yeah.
Challenging for me. Had to really think at a few junctures. But it's pretty easy because the front always has this little bit of ribbing along and that all the shaping then goes to the back of the piece. Because there is a little bit of waist shaping and stuff in here. And this is my armhole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're almost finished?
Well, I have a little bit more on the hood.
The hood.
The hood. The hood.
Hood.
And hood. It's the lip.
Oh. You have to tell us about the lip.
Yeah. And then I'm done this. And then I have to sew it together.
Yeah.
Which it's pretty long. So that's not going to be a super quick process. I would kind of hoped I would at least have the vest to show today, but I didn't bring enough yarn with me for Thanksgiving. I ran out.
Oh, dear.
If I had not run out of balls on the ferry or whatever, I would have had more done. I probably would have knit this whole ball and had the thing seamed up last night. But anyway. So so I've got my 3 parts. I need to add the sleeves and then I'm done.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be done for next episode too.
Wow.
And I'm probably going to finish the hood
It'll be really something if we
tonight.
both have FOs.
And we're wearing them. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm really
Well, I can't
excited to wear this.
Yeah.
But this just reverse the shaping thing is a little bit daunting. I'm not going to lie. I got really confused. Like at times I was like, which... And then you have to go back and look at the line in the previous section to really read what you're even supposed to be doing.
But you're doing it on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like you were successful.
I think so. I usually don't know until I'm done.
Yeah.
Or go to sew it together. And I'll be like, why is that a foot longer?
Yeah.
Or wider or whatever.
Right. It's really nice.
It's going to be really
And
nice.
again,
so
we
you kind of
need
get the
to-
idea.
We need to make the comment once again that this is thick and lovely, but
And
super light.
So is my
Yes.
armhole there?
Yes.
So this is about, thank goodness.
It's perfect.
So this is about how long it's going to be.
Oh, I see. And then does this just roll over?
Well, there's no buttons or anything. I mean, I don't know if it's going to roll over, but
Because that's the hood, right?
yeah. And then the
So
other,
mysterious cloak.
yeah, the other, it's like a cloak. That's what I like about it. So then the other hood goes like this. How does it look?
Is it long enough? I don't want to say. Or do you keep knitting more?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean? Why would it be long enough? What part looks short? That's
Well,
only half the hood. This is the full hood.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This because you're not finished knitting this part
Yeah,
yet.
most people complained that the pattern was way too huge.
Doesn't look like it.
No.
No.
Lord knows. I might be wearing it next week. I might be crying.
No.
Or next
I don't think
episode.
so. It looks lovely.
Okay, so that's darkness.
And what kind of sleeves does it have on it?
Not a clue. I don't read ahead. In fact, I don't even have that page yet.
Oh,
I only
okay.
photocopied the one. It's a complete mystery. Which was a bit scary because on the page I had, the last line was complete the same as the left, but reverse shapings.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, but I was like, on the next page, there could totally be something that says, except...
So just
where I don't have it. I
So
don't have
just
the
to
page.
clarify, we're not into photocopying patterns, but we do photocopy the patterns so we can make
So that
notes
I don't
on them.
ruin the book.
So we don't ruin the book.
No, I definitely own the pattern.
Yeah.
We've been selling the books.
Yeah.
Myth. You
Yes.
can order it.
Yeah.
So I do love working with this yarn. I feel like I want to make everything out of this.
Yeah.
So this weighs absolutely nothing.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It is really amazing. And it's quite a dark color. So it's a bit tricky to count. Like if you try to go back and read your stitches and stuff and it's so floofy. But I don't know. I love it.
Yeah.
And everybody at Thanksgiving was like, so soft.
Oh, yeah.
So soft. They all want something, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, learn how to knit, and then you too can have a sweater that's so soft
Right.
because it's got alpaca in it. It's just,
Yeah.
it's really an amazing yarn, and I'm really happy to finally get the chance to work with it. So that's my darkness,
All right.
and we do have an FO.
Yeah. But we didn't knit it.
We didn't knit it as per usual. We're lazy butts.
And this goes with the yarn update or a shop update.
So this hat emits what?
They're fantastic.
Out of Lopi,
Yeah.
our own Lopi. So it's
Yeah.
Blomidon Farm on PEI. It's their Icelandic fleece,
Yeah.
which we spun the Lopi into our Heatherdale Lopi, which is what
Right.
we call all our Lopi.
Yeah.
And so everything, of course, will be listed in the show notes. So
Right.
this is the taupe and like a chocolate. I think I just called it brown.
And it's all the natural color. Like it's the natural
Yeah.
colors. They're not dyed. So you're going to get a chance to order it. But the colors will be various colors.
And these are 125 yards. And Jennifer Hicks, who knit this, got both of these out of one skein of each. So
Right.
we've parceled this up as a little kit, which we'll link to below. And so you get one of each color. So what she did, obviously, is reverse the dominant, like the brown. Dark brown makes up most of this, and the light taupe makes up most of the mittens. But they still coordinate perfectly,
Yes.
and they're beautiful. Do you want to try the hat on?
The pattern is called Mare.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I say that at the beginning? We don't know. Link to it in the show notes, and there'll also be a link to it where you go buy the yarn.
And the pom-pom is just fantastic.
Yeah,
I
it's
asked
too
her-
full because there's no plying, so it just
Yeah.
opens right up into fluffy hairs.
And if you're wondering why it's so floppy, it's because she didn't actually sew it on yet. She just tied it on. And then she'll sew it after. But you want me to put it on?
Yeah.
It's really, really warm.
Yeah. It's really stunning.
Is it?
Yeah.
My hair's
What a
too
nice
long.
hat.
I know. It's very cozy.
Super nice.
Yeah, and the mittens are wonderful
Yeah.
too.
Now she knit these a little bit below gauge, so they're a little bit smaller than what you would get.
Yeah. She knit the large size below gauge.
Yeah, because I think she wanted them to turn out like this.
Yeah.
But she tells us there's lots of yarn to make both of these. Or you could do 2 pairs of mittens and reverse the colors that way. So you would use the dark primarily.
So let's just...
But I mean, I love... It just works so well. It's a little bit of a low contrast color work kind of thing happening, but it just looks beautiful.
Yeah.
So well done again, Jennifer, and thank you for knitting that.
They'd be, they're so, it's special. It's special.
Yeah.
And I mean, this wool comes from the only flock of Icelandic sheep on PEI, so local to us, so fits within what we like to do. And these are extremely well-loved sheep.
Yes, Toby, their mom, is beaming with pride right now.
Yes.
I'm sure. So that's all listed.
Yeah. Great.
Love it. And we have quite a few of them. So
Right.
hopefully everybody should be
Kits.
anybody who wants.
So the
a kit.
deal is that we're giving a small discount on the yarn that covers the cost of
the pattern, because it's not our pattern, so you do
Yeah.
have to buy the pattern separately.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to reach out to the designer and try to work out something, so but it'll all be clear and packaged up for you in the show notes
Right.
and on our website too.
Right.
So that's our FO, cheating again. But we really wanted to do something to show off that yarn, and I love the pattern that Jennifer chose to do it with.
Yeah.
It looks really nice.
Yeah.
Interesting way to use it.
Shift around. I have a
Oh gosh, we're falling apart. Let's talk about that now.
aging.
Okay,
We're going to talk
shift.
about aging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shift away.
So
let's just go through the. I don't know if I'm getting older or younger, because let's just go through it. So I have a fat lip, which also almost knocked out the tooth that I need to have extracted. I was really excited for a minute. I ran to what happened was my dog, I was leaning over the bed and she went to jump on the bed and head butted me in the mouth. And she's about 125 pounds and has a head like a cinder block.
yeah.
And it was such a shock. It hurt a lot. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's really,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I know, busted up in there.
Well, there's a big bruise. It looks like you have a mustache.
I have a black bruise forming here, and it's all split on the inside.
Yeah.
Fortunately, all my teeth are still there, because the one she hit actually wasn't the one that needed to be replaced. The one next to it. So then I would have needed 2 implants. So I have that, and then I think that's it for me, right?
Right
but I have
now.
to get braces.
Yeah.
This is the dental update. And then you had a few things removed off your ass.
Okay, let's be clear about that, because that could leave things wide open. Okay, so I had my crown put on for the tooth that
You're
I
up
broke.
a tooth.
Yeah, so now the crown that on the tooth that I broke when I was eating the Climax mixture from Newfoundland, that whatever,
delicious.
So it was delicious until I
Worth
swallowed half
every
my
penny.
tooth. Yeah. Anyway, so I had my crown done. Then I don't know if anybody else. I don't know if you get these things. Have you? It's called senile keratosis. Have you heard of that?
I don't even like the sound of it.
Yeah. So I have a few of these.
There's nobody senile here.
Yeah.
Yet.
Or else we're so senile we don't
nightmare.
know that we're senile. So it's just like a little rough spot that you get on your skin. It's harmless, and it's on the surface. And I've been starting to get those.
Anything that ends in osis just doesn't sound harmless.
So it's harmless. And so when I went to we have a nurse practitioner at the practice of our GP, our doctor, and she goes, she said, I just call those rust spots. I don't want to have rust spots.
Thank you, Linda. Charming.
Yeah, that's great.
Feels so much better.
I have rust spots that you just use a little bit of. She did a little bit of liquid nitrogen or whatever it is that they do and froze it, and then it just disappears. But I got quite a large one on the very top. I'll say it's my hip, on the very top of my hip here, and I could feel it. It was rough. So I asked Ken to look at it, and he said, "Well, that's one thing," but he said, the thing next to it is not looking very good. I said, well, what do you mean? What is that? What's next to it? So I have like tons of moles.
We all do.
Yeah, it's kind of in our family.
Crazy.
So I'm always like checking
Crazy
and
amounts.
everything and like to make sure that nothing is going weird or happening. And we're not really sun worshippers. So
Not anymore, but I
No.
wish I had been less of one when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I didn't.
It all shows up later, I can tell you.
I didn't really lay out that much
No.
in the sun. I didn't tan. So I would
Right.
just get lobster red and then go right back to
So there was no point.
Right, so there was no point. I didn't have a nice golden tan.
Right.
It was red, looking ridiculous, red,
Right.
and then right back to milk pale,
Right.
whatever, wimpy. So luckily I didn't do that. But anyway, this little thing that was on next to my rust spot, I decided I better go have somebody look at it, a professional, because it did look a little bit different. So the doctor removed it yesterday. And but it's nothing, I guess.
Right.
We're going to find out for sure.
Right.
It's probably nothing.
Right.
But I did have to get 3 stitches, which
Yeah.
was a bit of a surprise because it was tiny.
Right.
And he said, well, we're going to remove it because it's not in a place you can check regularly. So it's just safer to have it removed. So it's right at the top of my, my buttock. Because I said to Ken, I have the Forrest Gump injury.
Oh, buttocks.
Buttocks.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched Forrest Gump,
Right.
that's part of the
Yeah.
movie. Anyway, so it actually doesn't really hurt, but when I sit down, it just moves the muscle underneath enough that I can it's kind of twingy.
I don't like the sound of any of it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. And then I did get new glasses this week. So it's been a great
The
week.
maintenance costs on these
Old
vehicles
models.
are getting like a little bit out of control. So my tooth, as it turns out, I don't even have room for the implant.
Right.
So I need to get braces anyway.
So
And then the memory's not great. So he kept explaining to me, he's like, my memory.
Oh.
So we kept either. So you're like in the office, like trying to, here are your 2 choices, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, right. But then I don't have to get the braces. He's like, there's a concept I need you to get through your head. You need the braces. The question is, will the big tooth come down, or do we need to also take that out and give you the implant? Yeah, the adult tooth, Beulah 2.0.
Because it's up there.
So I was like, right, I need the braces, even if I still need the implant, because there's not room for the implant. He was like, right. I said, okay, well, my new favorite saying is, I didn't forget, I just had to remember 12 times. Like he was getting like super frustrated. Like, you still need the braces. I was like, oh my God, I just don't want these braces.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're going to make you eat asparagus.
I really hope I don't have to pay for both. Like, if I have to get the braces, the other tooth better cooperate, because at least then I've supplied my own enamel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And root.
Right.
But I could have to get the braces, make the space, and then still have to pay for the
Because
implant.
the tooth might not come down.
Yeah. So I'm anxiously awaiting the results of my CAT scan, which are going to tell me if the Beulah 2.0 has ankylosed, which means like form bone to some other bone. I think I've said that right. Everybody will correct me. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then it won't come down.
They're going to write.
Then she needs to be pried out of place and like
extract it.
thrown in the trash.
Oh, poor Beulah 2.0.
And then I still have to get a fake tooth.
Well, let's not go there. Let's just
right.
think
So
about
let
the
this
fact
be
that-
a lesson to you. Do not put off dealing with these little permanent impacted teeth.
Yeah, because you've been talking about that since you were 20.
I know, because Beulah sounds charming, but actually she's a cannibal.
Yeah.
She's also eaten part of my tooth next to her, so now I'm at risk of losing all 3.
So how does that work? How does the tooth kind of cannibalize the other tooth?
I don't know. I think it must be some kind of metabolic thing. Like when the root makes because that's how baby teeth fall out. Like the permanent tooth comes down, it eats away the root of the baby tooth, and then the baby tooth falls out.
Oh.
So Beulah came down, ate a bunch of stuff, but never finished the job. And so or didn't have space.
Beulah's a slacker.
She didn't have space to really do a thorough job on the baby tooth. So now she's hung up there, but she's still eating everything in the immediate vicinity.
Oh, including the tooth next to it, the one that has to come out. Yeah.
So now the root for the other one, that's a permanent tooth, looks iffy.
Oh.
As Karen put it. So I'm telling you,
right.
So I don't know how it works. Someone might know and explain.
So
Because there's somebody watching who has a dentist for a spouse.
Yeah, or as a dentist, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, but specifically someone mentioned my husband's a dentist or something
Oh,
last
okay.
time. So I think it must be some kind of metabolic reaction or something, but it basically causes, I think, the root on the baby tooth to resorb.
Oh, okay.
And then that's when your baby tooth falls out. But, that all got messed up. But please, everyone, if you're into manifestation, let's manifest Beulah 2.0 being allowed to move. Because I don't want to have to pay for the braces.
Into the right position.
And the implant. I don't care where she ends up.
Oh, really? What if she comes out the front?
Well, but she still can be corrected with braces then, I think. The thing is, if it's stuck up there, I have to have it dug out, and then I have also no tooth, no part to put in.
Yeah, no spare parts.
Then I got to pay for the manufacturing of the... Unreal.
Yeah.
If any of my former dentists are watching this, they're like, I told you.
Yeah, but maybe they didn't emphasize it enough of what could actually happen.
I don't think anyone said, fix it or you're going to lose all three.
Yeah. Which would have been a wake-up call.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to blame anybody. I have known about it for a while, but having worn glasses through most of junior high, when I found out at 18 that I was supposed to get braces, I was like, no way in hell. I just got rid of the glasses. I'm not getting braces now.
Yeah.
Even though it wouldn't have been at the same time. And now they're all trendy and cool anyway.
Yeah.
But back then, in the late 80s
It was the
and
railroad
90s,
tracks.
you didn't want to have braces and glasses. I mean, I had trouble getting dates as it was. I don't really think I needed that kind of help.
Yeah. Oh, well.
We all had trouble getting dates in our family.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why, because we're so charming. Well, not our middle sister. She was very popular.
Yeah. All right. All the angst of high school just came back, flooding back.
I know. I feel anxious.
Yeah. All right.
God, we're lucky to have anybody. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Where were we? Okay.
I don't know. So are we going to talk about the shop update?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the worst ramble ever.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got something really, really fun. Which order do you want to do it in? Let's do this.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, we got more of these.
Right.
Which
and these
are the advent calendars from Firefly Notes.
Right.
So I don't know how many we have. We put them up.
I think we've got 15.
Okay, but we sold out last time.
Right.
So link to purchase is in the show notes.
Right.
And they're super cute and fun. And
Yeah.
they have nice stitch markers inside.
Yes.
One for each day of the Advent.
That's right.
Typical Advent calendar. So that's those.
Yeah. We were so lucky to get more.
Yeah, because they're in short supply.
Right.
Okay. And then we got Alpaca Soft Decay in stock.
Right.
So this is a new, different line of Rowan yarns that we haven't had before.
Right.
And the reason we got it is because it's used in the Carousel collection, which was shown
By Martin Story.
which was shown at our event with Trisha Malcolm a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And everybody went gaga over it. And I showed a little tiny bit of it in our recap from the event. But
Right.
right now, we're going to show a little slideshow with the yarns, sort of what they look like, and with some of the patterns.
Right.
And the books are in short supply at the moment.
Right.
So Rowan has made individual pattern PDFs available to us.
Yeah, that you can purchase.
Yes. So this will also all be linked in the show notes, but you can actually go in and buy the individual patterns.
Right.
So if you see something you like in the slideshow, head on over to our pattern section, and all of the patterns will be there in PDF format. If you want to wait for the book, it is coming eventually, but they're just a little bit short shipped at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful collection.
And a lot of people, quite a few people wrote and asked about the poncho in the slideshow from the event that we did with Trisha Malcolm. I'm not sure which poncho you mean, because there were a couple.
There were a lot of ponchos, actually, yeah.
So one of the ponchos is in this collection,
Right.
though, the one with it looks like feathers.
Yeah, okay.
So that's in this. So we'll get the pattern for that, and we'll have the yarn for that.
Yeah. But go have a browse in our pattern section after the slideshow or after you finish watching, because there's a lot of nice ones.
Right. And then what I've done as well is I've ordered, there's a retailer kit of books that you can order that has one of each of all the books, and those would have been all shown in the slideshow. So once I get those books in, I will take a look at, maybe we do a poncho special.
Yeah, certainly ponchos look like they're going to be very popular this year.
Yeah, a poncho feature, and hopefully we have the one that you are asking about, because I'm not sure which poncho
Yeah.
Quite a few people have asked about the ponchos.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So let's go watch that slideshow.
Okay.
Okay, so
right.
that was Carousel
Yes.
by Martin Story.
Right.
Lovely. Okay.
That's
So
it.
then we also got in, I don't know if we ever mentioned these before or not,
Yeah.
but we got in these lovely new versions of felted tweed because this is called the Kaffe Fassett Colors Collection in felted tweed.
Yeah.
And there's 12 shades. And I mean, like, some of these are really blowing my mind.
Yeah.
This bright, what do you call that color?
I think it's called heliotrope.
Okay. Well, that's not exactly what I was going to come up with. But it's not puce because that's more of a magenta, but it's like, it reminds me of Thrills gum or something. I don't know. I just love it. And I love it with this green.
Yes.
See where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the green's called? Not important. So
Sulfur.
sulfur. Very good. That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
So let's test my memory.
Oh, okay, good. Wow.
Sulfur, French mustard.
Clover? No.
No,
That's something
I'll come
different.
back to it.
Okay.
Fjord. Ciel.
Okay.
Ultramarine.
You skipped a couple.
I know.
Heliotrope.
Peachy.
Peachy.
Scarlet.
And black.
Black.
Okay.
Okay, so there's another one that's called Aster.
That would probably be this purple.
Yeah.
And then this blue.
And which blue?
This blue here.
That's Ciel.
Oh, okay. What's
That's
this one?
Ciel. Ultramarine.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you got most of them then.
No, I'm missing one. That's
This?
always the way. No.
Oh. This blue? No, you got that.
Fjord. I don't know.
It was the one where I said clover and maybe you couldn't remember.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
This one. Okay, well that was pretty good. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go and it doesn't come with. There's a book for this as well.
Yeah. You said book the same way as you said hood.
Well, it's this lip. I can't talk. I'm like Rocky right now. What do you want from me? Another one of my favorite movies.
Oh. Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
I mean, what a thing that was.
Yeah.
That whole phenomenon where he wrote and that himself and
Yeah.
got it produced and he won an Academy Award
Yeah,
and
it
like
was
crazy
great.
story. Young guy.
Good for
Amazing.
Just his debut.
A lot of respect for him. Wish he had laid off the plastic surgery a little. But other than that. Okay.
All right.
Where was I? So we're going to show a slideshow of those patterns now because we
Yeah.
do have those books.
Right.
Okay, good.
They're coming. Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So more inspiration. And was that in Trisha's presentation as well? She covered a lot.
So.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So if you were at the event, you may have seen some of those before. You may recognize them.
Yeah, but I think she just showed the garments. She didn't show the colors like that.
No. So but like when I did the slideshow with the garments, you might recognize something.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's all the news for the shop. Nope, we have one other thing. So we also got a different, I actually listed this last time, but we didn't show it. And this is another Jewel Designs brooch. And it's a all wooden one.
Rosewood.
Yes. And it is called the Off-Center Shawl Pin.
Yeah.
Sorry. I got shawl pin and shawl stick mixed up for a minute there. It's the Off-Center Shawl Pin.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's now listed. And this one's really reasonably priced compared to a lot of the other jewel brooches. Yeah. So for a nice gift, you might want to go take a look at that. Link is in the show notes below.
We've got a couple. Not that many.
Not a ton of them, but a few. We'll get more. So now on to some really exciting news because we have been busy the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we just recapped the last event 2 weeks ago. Right. We already have the next one planned, if you can believe it, because we're nuts and we don't have enough to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're really excited.
So we've invited a couple of guests.
Get your climax mixture ready.
So we were trying to think of that was so much fun, and now that we don't have to like stress out about the technical aspects of it because we know we can get good assistance locally, who do we want to have next?
Right.
And we thought immediately that it would be so super fun to have
ta-da!
Christine and Shirley.
Right.
Of Saltwater fame.
Yes.
Saltwater mittens, classics, and gifts.
Right.
So they will be joining us virtually.
Yes. So the two authors, Christine Legrow and Shirley Scott, will be joining us virtually.
Yes.
For an event.
Yeah, on November 12th. Yes. And it's an evening this time.
Right.
Do we know what time it starts?
Well, it starts early.
Okay.
Because there's a whole thing.
Oh.
Okay. So it starts at 5:30.
Okay.
And we're going to
Atlantic. Which is 4:30 Eastern.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's going to be a dinner. So for the people that are going to be coming live, it starts at 5:30.
Okay.
For the people that are going to come virtually, it starts at 6:30.
Okay. They're going to eat in an hour?
Yes.
Okay.
So unfortunately, people from the Atlantic bubble can come, but that'll probably be it, obviously, unless you're here on the island visiting already. So, and the reason why we're starting early is because it's actually going to be a dinner.
Right.
And the dinner is a traditional Newfoundland, what they call JIGG'S dinner, which is a boiled dinner.
Corned beef.
Yeah.
And cabbage.
Yeah.
Which might sound strange to some people. And parsnips. But it's delicious.
Yes.
And it's going to be prepared in the very traditional manner.
Yeah.
And then we have a traditional dessert of gingerbread, I think.
Yes. With hard sauce.
With hard sauce.
So just to explain a little bit about what's going on for people that now at this point have no idea what we're talking about. A very traditional way of preserving food was to salt it.
Right.
So you had things like salt cod, which is very common in a lot of
Saltwater.
Yeah. Salt cod.
Saltwater classics in the kitchen.
Yeah. So salt cod, which is was very popular in Europe as well. So that'll be familiar to most people. But
and are we having cod cakes as the alternate?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's no alternate.
Oh.
Okay. So, but the traditional boiled dinner is salt beef, and so it's called corned beef, but it's salt beef, and you boil it. And you soak it to get the salt off, and then you boil it, and you boil potatoes and root vegetables usually with it.
Other things that would have been stored easily.
Yeah, because it would have been served in the winter.
From your root cellar.
Because you preserved all your meat and everything. So there's that. And so I don't want to say every household, but most families have some form of boiled dinner in Atlantic Canada, and it's not always traditional like the Newfoundland. And there was, different spins on it. But in our case, we had boiled dinner at home it was a traditional one.
Yeah,
So in Cape Breton.
And the meat was bought right from the Newfoundland store in Halifax.
Yeah.
It was a thing, the Newfoundland store. And
Yeah.
you couldn't have any other kind.
No, you had to have that.
No.
But you could have different cuts. Sometimes it's riblets.
Brisket
and
or
sometimes,
riblets.
Yeah, so sometimes it's the ribs and sometimes
but don't
it's,
even talk
brisket.
to me about that kind of corned beef that has a little bit of pickling spice in it.
No.
Go away.
Yeah, it's not that. It's salt.
Salt only.
Yes.
But you can get some that has a little bit of pickling spice and maybe a little bit of dill, or is
I
that
don't
what
know.
pickling spice tastes like?
Yeah, I don't know.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's not it.
We're going to have to really make sure that Red Shores gets the right type.
The sous chef is from Newfoundland.
Okay, well, I'm still going to make sure.
Yeah.
I trust no one. When it comes
right.
to that, if there's pickling spice in that sucker, I'm going to tear the whole house down.
Yeah. All right. So it's going to be a traditional. And the gingerbread comes from a recipe book. And I don't know, we'll get more details, but I'm just going to talk off the cuff because
Right.
I don't really know until we get it in our hands because we're going to get the book. I think it was published in 1958 and it's called The Treasury of Newfoundland Recipes. And I don't know who the author is. I'll have to look it up. But from what I understand, the gingerbread recipe that's in that book was actually the author's grandmother's recipe. So the recipe is more than 100 years old for
Right.
the gingerbread.
And that's what Red Shores will be preparing.
Yes.
From that book.
From that book.
Right.
And the hard sauce is the same kind of a sauce that you would have, like that would be in other traditional recipes like plum pudding at Christmas. And it's usually made with rum, but not in Newfoundland.
Screech.
Yeah. It's made with screech, which is a very traditional.
Right.
I think you can I don't know if you can buy it anywhere else other than Newfoundland.
Not that I'm aware of.
There's a whole tradition around
Getting screeched in and
yes.
kiss the cod and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's just going to want to go to Newfoundland next summer.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen.
That's what's going to
But
happen.
if you don't know, the hard sauce is hard because it's got butter and icing sugar in it. So then when it goes on the warm pudding or gingerbread, the butter melts and it turns the hard sauce into a liquid sauce.
Right.
But it's pretty dreamy.
Yes, it's delicious.
It's hard because it's almost like a frosting
Yeah.
when you make it. But then when it hits the warm baked good, it turns into a soft sauce.
Yeah, and it's also hard because it's got screech in it.
Right. Oh, maybe that's what it means. But it is hard too. It's like a double meaning.
It's a double entendre.
It's hard at room temperature and it's hard because it's got hard liquor in it.
Rum.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. And there will be a non-screech one.
Oh,
for
really?
people. Yes,
oh, do you
there
know this?
Yes.
Oh, we're so responsible.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are. We think
Super
of everything.
organized there at Red
So
Shores.
if you don't want to imbibe,
Right.
then
In with your dessert.
even with your dessert, then there will be one
Okay.
suitable for minors.
So there's an option to come for the full dinner or there's an option to just come for dessert.
Right.
Okay.
So the dinner is going to be served at 5:30 or thereabouts. Everybody's going to eat their corned beef and cabbage and whatever. And then at 6:30, dessert will be will be served, and we'll start the presentation with Christine and Shirley.
Yeah, and they are super excited to do this.
Yes.
And we are super excited. It's going to be super high energy.
They are absolutely delightful.
Right.
And if anybody has any of their books, you understand that they're going to talk about the culture of Newfoundland, how these patterns and things were passed down. And it's not just about mittens. So
Lots of folklore.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would think that this event will be very interesting and entertaining, even if you're not a knitter.
I would say so, definitely. Especially if you like corned beef. I mean, you've got it made.
Yeah.
If you like corned beef and gingerbread and you have any connection to Newfoundland whatsoever, you're going to want to be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
In person. And then for the presentation their book is sold around the world.
Yeah.
So if you want to meet the gals that
Right.
came up with these beautiful books, and if you've read the books, I know there's people that read the books that don't even don't even knit.
Yeah. So it'll be like an evening of storytelling. I'm super excited.
Yeah. And they'll take questions, and they're super personal.
And I want to eat this time.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And of course we'll be there and we'll be moderating and online and doing the whole. If you were at the Arna and Carlos one, you definitely it'll be similar in format.
Yeah.
But we'll have a full dinner available.
Yeah.
A full catered dinner.
We're really excited.
Really super excited. So that's November 12th. Link to tickets in the show notes.
Right.
They're available for sale now.
So there's 3 types of tickets. There's the full meal deal with the dinner, everything. There's the dessert and the presentation, and then there's just the presentation, which would be virtual, virtual only.
Yeah.
So we'll have that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and if we can get the recipe for the gingerbread, then maybe people can make the gingerbread
ahead of time and have that with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great. So we're gonna be Christine and Shirley are actually gonna sign books. And ship them over to us. So we'll have books that have been signed, and we're also getting in stock the Treasury of Newfoundland recipes as well. So we ordered those, so they'll be available.
The books will be available for
so
sale.
if anybody has roots in Newfoundland and is feeling homesick and wants the traditional recipes but doesn't have anybody to cook it for them anymore, we'll have those books too.
Amazing.
Yeah,
super fun. I don't know why we love Newfoundland so much.
I don't know, because what's not to love?
I guess. We're not from there.
No. No.
But we definitely enjoy all the all their products.
Yeah. And their outlook on life, and you know, they smile through hard times.
Yes.
And,
of which they have many.
Yes.
Just surviving a winter there is an accomplishment.
Yeah. And they're just delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a place to visit. Right. Put on your bucket list.
Yeah. A lot of people come to Atlantic Canada and they kind of do a loop and go.
Yeah.
They have, Newfoundland has iceberg season in Newfoundland is actually in July. Mm-hmm. So people are there for the summer, and the icebergs are all floating past like the shoreline through by St. John's and surrounding areas and stuff. It's really quite something to see, because it's the summer, but the icebergs have calved from the Arctic and are just making their way down south, and they hit Newfoundland right in July.
Is that cleaved?
Cleaved, yeah.
Calved?
They say calved.
Oh, really? Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like a cow having a baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's happening faster and faster.
Right. Well, let's not talk about that.
No. Okay.
So it's a beautiful spot to visit, and if you want to go high luxury, there's the Fogo Island Inn, which is a whole phenomenon.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I think, did we hear David Letterman was there? And
I don't know.
I think so. He actually mentioned it on his interview with on his new show.
Really?
Yeah, he mentioned being in Atlantic Canada.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I'm sure he went there. I think he may have even said that specifically. And he was here on the island because we know he ate at a restaurant down the street.
Yeah. And they made him wait because he didn't have a reservation.
Right. Which is fine.
So weird.
I think we already told that story. Yeah. He was cool with it.
Yeah.
So that's Newfoundland and Fogo Island, which we've talked about before a few times.
Yeah.
Because of Joe Bet's arm.
Yes.
Which is in the area. Yeah. All right. Or the exact same area. Yeah. Okay. So that's our event.
Yeah.
We're really super excited. I'm looking forward to it. November 12th. It's going to come up fast.
Yes. So
if you enjoyed the last event, please join us. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't, but you feel you missed out, then now's your chance.
Not that you didn't enjoy it.
Oh, no. If you didn't attend, everybody enjoyed it.
Yes.
Except for the people who got the time zone wrong.
Right.
We are not in Eastern time.
No.
We are in Atlantic time.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a half an hour different in Newfoundland, but we'll stick with the Atlantic. We
can
really make it challenging by doing it on Newfoundland time.
Right. On the post, we will put on the Universal Time Convention, the UTC time. So
in the Eventbrite event?
Yeah. Just to make it clear.
We did that last time, didn't we?
We did it in some posts, but I don't think we did it in the ticket thing. So that's,
Are you sure that Eventbrite does that?
Well, no, I'm just saying in the description.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know.
That wouldn't help me, I can tell you, because I don't do converting time zones in any case. But it's 1 hour later than Eastern.
Yes.
I mean, that's what most people understand Eastern time, because that's where, New York is.
Yes.
And Toronto.
Yes.
And Montreal. And all of those wonderful places.
Cities.
So people understand Eastern very well. Atlantic, it's an hour later here. So if it's 4:30 Eastern, it's 5:30 Atlantic. Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay, good. So we have one little Ask Us Anything that came through, I think, the forum.
On the forum.
And maybe email. So, and they are knitting from the Lina 52 Weeks of Socks book. Mm-hmm. And we're asking, they don't have any of the recommended yarns or the yarns that the patterns were originally designed in. What do you do when that's the case? Mm-hmm. Well, you have to swatch.
Yes.
So, and we almost never knit recommended yarn.
No.
Other than with the ROWAN stuff we are. But I mean, this is no big deal for us, but you do have to swatch. But what you can do is if you have a favorite sock yarn, swatch at a couple different needle sizes, tag them with what it was and measure them, and then just keep those as a little diary of swatching. And then you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
But there's really no way around sizing without swatching. Mm-hmm. Even if you did have the recommended yarn, you'd still have to swatch.
Yes, because your knitting is
so
not
that's why the
necessarily
recommended yarn is not even a thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to swatch anyway.
The only time that you need to be careful, and I think that maybe this was a different question, because I also read one that she was talking about converting from superwash to non-superwash.
Okay.
Or vice versa.
Well, same thing.
Yeah, you still have to swatch, but superwash yarns tend to knit up
very tight,
finer.
Yeah, because they have no loft.
Yes.
So remember, their scales have been removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're knitting a pattern that called for a superwash yarn, and you're using a non-superwash yarn, you're going to have trouble getting your gauge small enough unless you go, and you might not like the fabric, or you get your needle size down small enough to get the gauge. So don't worry about it. Check out the tutorial about substituting yarns that we've already done in the playlist of tutorials. You just have to swatch and measure, and then you do the rest.
Is it called substituting yarns or swatching?
I think it was the gauge.
Okay.
The three of them. And I think that I did the yarn substitution as part of the third one.
Okay. Because, so based on the weight and the yardage being identical between a superwash yarn and a non-superwash yarn.
And by weight and yardage, 250 yards for 100 grams of yarn. Right. That's called the grist.
Not these names for weights.
Yeah.
That means nothing.
Yeah.
Don't write and ask about a DK. I have no idea. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's a name.
Yeah.
That's like trying to name a brand, like a dog breed. Well, it's Charlie. No, it's a Pekingese.
Yeah.
Like DK, sport, worsted.
It's a guideline.
Don't even confuse yourself with it. Go by the weight in grams.
Yeah.
And the yardage or the meterage.
Yeah.
And then if you have that for a superwash, know that you will need to go down. You will need to pick something finer in a natural wool to get the same gauge you would with the identical specifications in a superwash wool, because it has no scales. It's denser and it's flat and it has no loft.
Yeah.
So when you knit up, the loft takes up space.
Yeah.
Right? So if you had an identical yarn, which this is our Aran, so it was 150 yards per 100 grams, and you took a superwash that was 100 yards or 150 yards per 100 grams, it's going to be way finer knit up than this.
Yeah.
Because it has no loft.
Yeah.
There's no scales taking up space.
Yeah.
No crimp.
Yeah.
No nothing.
Yeah.
So it's almost like string.
Yeah.
Whereas this is sort of like a more living, breathing, organic, elastic, cushy kind of being.
Yeah.
So it is tricky. So I would buy down in weight for the same yardage.
Yeah.
To try to get the gauge that you would get with a superwash yarn.
If you want to get the gauge.
Right.
But
on a sock, it's a bit tricky to not get gauge.
On our yes, but we would usually recommend, first of all, and socks should be knit at a tighter gauge. Mm-hmm. On top of that.
Yeah, but they'd be thick.
Yeah, so, but if you want to have a sock that wears and you don't have any synthetic fiber, this is the other part of the sock question. If you don't want to have, because I know the line, the 52 weeks of socks is also talking about natural fibers instead of using sock yarns with a lot of nylon in them and so forth. So that's the other part of the equation, is that 100% wool socks will last, but you need to have a yarn that has a high twist, or you're going to knit it at a tighter gauge. So, but you have to swatch to know that too.
Yeah.
So the denser the fabric that you make, the even if it's on a fine yarn, but the actual denseness of this is not a very dense knit. I can see through it, basically. Like you can see the if you put a little bit of pressure, the holes that the stitches make. For a sock, you want something that you can't see through.
Yeah. It's just a denser fabric.
Yeah.
So it'll wear better.
Yeah.
But never worry about not having the recommended yarn because you need to achieve your gauge anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're going to knit a swatch, knit it with whatever yarn you want.
Yeah.
And even if you had the recommended yarn, you still just can't pick up the pattern and start knitting.
No.
Because of your tension.
Yeah. And I suspect, and I might have said this in another podcast, is that a lot of the gauge recommendations that I'm seeing on patterns, I'm suspecting that they're going by the gauge that the ball
which means almost nothing.
Yeah, so we never put that on our balls of yarn because it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's your knitting.
It's not possible to have it match for every person.
No.
It's like a red herring.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you a little bit of a false sense of security, and then you've knit and you don't know why your pattern turned out, your garment turned out too small or too big or whatever.
But to save yourself the trouble, pick a favorite sock yarn, stick with it a little bit, and just get all your swatches knit up in your tension. Yeah. And you probably would have to redo them even every 2-3 years because your knitting could change too.
Cheryl Burnett talks a lot about that and we've talked about Cheryl Burnett before, but she's got some really good podcast or YouTube episodes and she talks about that, like keeping a library of your favorite yarns that you knit with your swatch, and then just label what needle size you did and or used, and then you don't have to redo it. You just know that if you knit with such and such a yarn on a 5mm needle, this is the fabric you get.
Yeah, so you can save yourself some trouble that way. Because Lord knows I wouldn't remember if I had knit with it before and what size or whatever. You need to keep the little diary of, even if you take notes but don't keep the swatch. Like if you want to knit the swatch into your project because you need the yardage or whatever, at least take notes or take a photo of it or whatever and label it so that you know with this yarn and this needle, this is the gauge I get. But posted gauges, if you haven't knit it yourself, are like a very broad guideline.
Yeah. It's a rough estimate.
Yeah, so even like darkness in the pattern, and I am using the recommended yarn. It was designed with Brushed Fleece by Kim Hargreaves. The pattern lists a 6mm. I'm knitting it in a 5.5. Andrea knitted it in a 5. Yeah. Well, if you needed a 5 and you knitted it in 6, then it's huge. Yeah. And that's exactly what you see on the Ravelry project page. Yeah. Yeah. They're huge. Yeah. Yeah. So, and a lot of people complained and said the pattern is huge. But I asked everybody, well, people who are saying it knit up huge, did you swatch? And it was like crickets. Not one person wrote back and said, yes, I did swatch. Yes, I needed a 6mm. Yes, it was still huge.
It can't be the pattern because it's just math. Yeah. You knit a fabric. There's so many stitches per inch.
Yeah, if it worked for Kim, it has to work.
Yeah, but every knitter is different.
Yeah, it's the needle. Yeah. So I mean, I'll take it back if somebody writes me now and says, well, actually, I did swatch. I got gauge and the pattern was still huge because mine is certainly not going to be huge. No, and I'm doing a size that would be recommended for my bust size.
And my Sunday cardigan was huge, but then I realized I knit it with the wrong needle. Yeah. I did the swatch.
Let's try to avoid that. That's not recommended.
I did the swatch, got the fabric I wanted, got the needle size, and then didn't use the needle that I swatched with. By mistake.
That's a different thing. You needed to remember that again.
Yeah.
Another time.
I had it written down. I didn't look at it.
You had it written down. You needed to remember to look at it.
Yeah, again.
All right, so that's it for today then. Yes. Okay, I'm not sure how long this is or how much information what we talked about for the last hour and a half or so, but we'll see you all in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.